Welcome to the Shekina Meditation Podcast, created by Shekina community members. Shekina communities are dedicated to creating free devotional spaces of Christian practice for spiritual seekers and travelers around the world. We post Christ-centered guided meditation each week to help you in your personal or small group practice. You can find episode show notes and other information at shekinacommunity.com.
Hello, this is Ro.
And this is Laura, and we are recording from another Shekina community in Asia.
So this is week 24 of the podcast, and we're feeling like sleek dolphins in the waves to be here.
It's Thursday the 7th of March as we record this at the beach.
So there's a bit of wind, so if there's a little bit of wind in the background, we apologize, but it's really nice to have the breeze at the beach, let me tell you.
Imagine you were in the wind right now.
It's beautiful.
Very beautiful.
So listeners, this podcast is supported by you. Because this podcast is about meditation, we want to keep it ad-free. Our dearly beloved patrons at patreon.com support us for as little as $1 a month. And patrons get extra audio every month. You can find us at patreon.com/Shekina Meditation Podcast.
Supporting this podcast helps to keep Shekina communities running and free for travelers and spiritual seekers. And it helps us to know that you appreciate what we're doing in putting this podcast into the world. Patrons, you are the best.
Mm-hmm.
You make us feel like we are on trampolines at midnight.
Yes!
Playing like kids, up past their bedtime.
Yes! Having so much fun. Thank you, patrons. So tell me, Laura, how's your week been?
It's been beautiful. I've been in the sunshine and enjoying the ocean. And I went exploring bird watching this morning, and yesterday I guided an art meditation.
Oh, so good. So what birds did you and Chinua see when you were out bird watching?
We saw some kingfishers with bright blue wings.
Oh, gorgeous.
Very beautiful. And some woodpeckers.
Gorgeous. The flamebacks, right, with the red?
Yeah.
Oh, so pretty.
That was really beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful birds here.
And what was your art meditation on yesterday?
We meditated on Psalm 32, and it was a beautiful one about how God is our secret hiding place.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I missed it. That sounds so good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And how has your week been, Ray?
Well, I'm here visiting one of the other Shekina communities, so I've been loving being here with you guys and enjoying the community rhythms here. Also enjoying the beach. I'm a coastal girl from Australia, so I love being in the ocean and loving all the live music here and playing together with you.
It's been beautiful to have you here.
And with other friends. Yesterday at community lunch we made a little ukulele orchestra, and there's like 4 or 5 of us on ukuleles, and it was so fun.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was
actually.
really good.
And very good dancing music.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I loved that people were dancing. And then this morning I did a movement meditation. I attended one, and it was about playing like a little kid and just coming to God as we are, as a child would come, you know, not needing to do anything or prove anything, but just coming to the divine, and the divine singing over us and rejoicing in who we are and delighting in us. And it was really just beautiful and simple and playful. And I played with my friend Robbie. We played hide and seek on the rooftop, and it was really fun.
That is so
I like that was part of our meditation this time. It was good. Yeah, so the meditation of the recording today is a Lectio Divina from Naomi on John 15 verses 4 to 10, and it was recorded live at Shekina Garden in Thailand.
This meditation will have 3 parts, and during the first, Naomi will help you to prepare to move into a quiet place in your heart. Then she will read through the verses, slowly, with a lot of space in between.
And for the third part, you can either journal your experience if you're meditating by yourself, or you can share in a small group. And we would say to try to just share from your heart and really listen to each other as you share. You might want to use a talking stick or something to help each person take a turn in sharing. And no experience is too small to share from the experience of the meditation. Just whatever happened for you, what you loved, what you didn't love, if God spoke to you, if not, whatever you feel to share from your heart. Okay, let's begin.
So the meditation we'll be doing this morning will go in 3 parts. So I'll lead us in a time of preparation and some breath work exercises, and then I will be reading from the words of Jesus from the book of John in the ancient scriptures, and then at the end we'll have a talking circle just to share. Again, that will not be recorded. That's just a time for you guys to share openly your thoughts, your experience of this morning. There is absolutely no pressure to share, but just a heads up that that's coming. This is a really experiential thing, so it's about the heart and what's going on for you and not other people. So yeah, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It just is what it is. So welcome this morning. We'll just begin by closing our eyes and starting to take a few conscious breaths in. When we spend a lot of time sitting, we often begin to slouch down, compressing the diaphragm and the belly. But this morning, as we begin to breathe deeply, we want to open up that space to be able to fill the whole lungs with air, getting deeper and more conscious breaths. So you may like to begin to feel the crown of your head rising up, the heart lifting, the belly expanding with a nice long straight spine. And as you breathe, just begin to feel the difference that this heightened posture, this posture with a nice straight spine, adds to the breath. Maybe you want to take a moment to play and just slouch down and find a really relaxed posture, how you'd normally be, and take a few deep breaths. Just feeling in the body how that feels. And then get long through the spine, lift the heart, pull the shoulders back. Sit up really straight. And then take those breaths again. Beginning to feel the difference. To feel the chest expand, the lungs expand, and the belly inflate with air. When we sit in meditation for a long period of time, often we feel that during the meditation we'll shuffle and we'll move around a bit. And there will be times where you'll probably find yourself slouching again. Everything is grace, so be gentle on yourself, but just remind yourself to sit tall again and feel that breath, that life-giving breath of the divine filling your lungs once again. Before coming here this morning, I'm doing a bit of study at the moment, and I just came from an anatomy of breath class. And it was so interesting to consider the anatomy of the lungs. The windpipe looking like the roots of a tree, a trunk of a tree with branches expanding out into the lungs. This air entering through the nostrils, going down through the trunk and out into the branches. And at the end of the branches, there are these tiny little sacs that look a little like grapes that fill up and expand with air And exhale and get small again. As we begin to contemplate the words of Jesus this morning, I want you to just imagine as you inhale through the nostrils, this picture of a tree inside your very body. Maybe even a picture of a vine with branches and thousands of grapes filling up with air and energy and life. Every inhale expanding, growing, deepening. Exhaling, letting go of things that no longer serve us. As you inhale, sending this breath in through that trunk, filling up the branches and filling up the fruit at the end. I want you to inhale maybe for 4 or 5 counts and hold at the top of the breath for 4 or 5 counts. Feeling what it feels like to be completely full and lacking nothing. And then exhaling for 5 counts. Feeling what it feels like to be completely empty before you need to take that next inhale. Begin doing a few cycles of this deep breath, inhaling for a count of 5, holding at the top, exhaling for a count of 5, holding at the bottom. If you want to expand this count or maybe make it shorter depending on how you're feeling this morning, feel free to do so. Just take a few minutes here to be completely present with the breath. Abiding with the breath, staying close to it. If at any time during the meditation you become distracted or lose connection with your breath, feel free to come back to this expansive counting breath. Feel free to come back to this imagery of the breath from the tip of our nostrils down to our diaphragm being like a trunk, branches stemming off it, filling up that chest space as we feel our ribs expand. And these little grapes or berries or fruit at the end, these little sacs, these bronchioli filling up with this air. Feel free to return to this imagery at any point during the meditation if it feels helpful for you. On this first reading this morning from the words of Jesus, I ask that you just let the words wash over you. Try not to analyze them too much, but just kind of hear them as if they're from a loved one or a friend, speaking straight to you. Just seeing what comes up this morning. From the words of Jesus. Live in me. Make your home in me, just as I do in you. In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine. You can't bear fruit unless you are joined with me. I am the vine. You are the branches. When you're joined with me and I with you, the relationship intimate and organic, the harvest is sure to be abundant. Separated, you can't produce a thing. Anyone who separates from me is dead wood, gathered up and thrown on the bonfire. But if you make yourself at home with me, and my words are at home in you, you can be sure that whatever you ask will be listened to and acted upon. This is how my Father shows who He is. When you produce grapes, when you mature as my disciples. I've loved you the way my Father has loved me. Make yourselves at home in my love. If you keep my commands, you remain intimately at home in my love. That's what I've done. Kept my Father's commands and made myself at home in His love. on this next reading, I want you to begin to pay attention for a word or a phrase that stands out to you. Begin to wrestle with why is this word standing out to you. Sometimes we even get stuck and we can't even hear the rest of the verse because we're stuck on that point. Just begin to analyze where you get stuck or what stands out to you. And then begin to explore why. What might you need to hear today? What might God be trying to say to you today? Jesus says, "Live in me. Make your home in me, just as I do in you." In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine, you can't bear fruit unless you are joined with me. I am the vine. You are the branches. When you're with me and I with you, the relationship, intimate and organic, the harvest is sure to be abundant. Separated from me, you can't produce a thing. Anyone who separates from me is dead wood, gathered up and thrown on the bonfire. But if you make yourselves at home with me, and my words are at home in you, you can be sure that whatever you ask will be listened to and acted upon. This is how my Father shows who He is. When you produce grapes, when you mature as my disciples. I've loved you the way my Father has loved me. Make yourselves at home in my love. If you keep my commands, you'll remain intimately at home in my love. Take a moment to draw your attention to your posture once again. Have your shoulders collapsed, your chest collapsed. Maybe take a moment to realign the spine, opening up the heart space, getting long through the crown of the head once again, and feeling that breath enter the nostrils, and like a vine, sending down a trunk all the way to the base of your body and branching out into the lungs. Begin to breathe once again, recentering the mind. In the original language in which the ancient scriptures, the Old Testament, are written in, there is a word for breath and wind, which is ruach. And that very same word is also used to describe the Spirit of God. In the New Testament scriptures, originally in the Greek, the word for wind and breath and spirit of God is pneuma. Theologians believe that this is to signify that the Spirit of God is as close to you as your very breath. In this next reading, I want you to try and connect with your emotions. In other forms of meditation, we try to disconnect emotions. In the path of Christ, we want to reconnect. How do these words make you feel? And when you begin to feel these emotions, maybe positive or negative, just in your mind's eye, begin to express these feelings to God, who is as close to you as your very breath, who is as close and connected to you as a vine is to a branch. Live in me. Make your home in me, just as I do in you. In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine. You can't bear fruit unless you are joined with me. I am the vine. You are the branches. When you are joined with me, I with you, the relationship is intimate and organic. The harvest is sure to be abundant. Separated from me, you can't produce a thing. Anyone who separates from me is dead wood, gathered up and thrown on the bonfire. But if you make yourselves at home with me and my words are at home in you, you can be sure that whatever you ask will be listened to and acted upon. This is how my Father shows who He is. When you produce grapes, when you mature as my disciples. I've loved you the way my Father has loved me. Make yourselves at home in my love. If you keep my commands, you'll remain intimately at home in my love. Take the next few minutes to feel the emotions that are rising up. Maybe in your mind's eye, beginning to express those emotions to God. On this next reading, I want you to try to take a posture of surrender. To once again, just listening as if these words are from a loved one or a friend. And just open your heart and your mind and your body just to listen. Listen to what God may want to say to you today through these ancient words of hope. Jesus said, "Live in me. Make your home in me, just as I do in you." In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine, you can't bear fruit unless you are joined with me. I am the vine. You are the branches. When you're joined with me and I with you, the relationship is intimate and organic. The harvest is sure to be abundant. Separated, you can't produce a thing. Anyone who separates from me is dead wood, gathered up and thrown on the fire. But if you make yourselves at home with me and my words are at home in you, you can be sure that whatever you ask will be listened to and acted upon. This is how my Father shows who He is. When you produce grapes, when you mature as my disciples. I've loved you the way my Father has loved me. Make yourselves at home in my love. If you keep my commands, you'll remain intimately at home in my love. Once again, begin to imagine this beautiful picture of these amazing created bodies. Imagining that windpipe stemming from your nostrils and your mouth, leading down into your chest. And then the God that created these branches out of that main source, stemming into the lungs. Filling up these tiny air sacs, giving us life and abundance with every single breath. Maybe once again inhaling through the nostrils for as many counts as you can, maybe about 5 or 6 this time. Holding at the top of the breath and feeling what it feels like to be completely full and lacking nothing. But then needing that release. Exhale for 5 or 6 breaths. Feel what it feels like to be completely empty, with nothing left. And that reliance on that next inhale to see you through. Let's take a few rounds of this inhalation and exhalation. And then when you're ready, allow your breath to settle into a steady rhythm once again. And slowly, as you feel ready, we're going to begin to emerge out of this place of solitude and quietness with God, back into the company of others. Take your time here, maybe having a stretch or blinking open the eyes. And we'll move on to the next stage of our meditation in the talking circle.
When you are ready, take a few deep breaths and begin your time of journaling or sharing with others. Thank you for joining today. There will be a new guided meditation each week, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or sign up for our newsletter to get podcasts delivered to your inbox at www.shekinacommunity.com/podcast newsletter. Have a beautiful week. Blessings to you.